It's a great day. My name is Shay Brown, the happy entrepreneur, and welcome to the Happy Entrepreneur Show, the number one business development and revenue focused late night show in the country where we're on a mission. And our mission is to empower. Our mission is to inspire. And our mission is to provide you, the entrepreneur, the hard working individual, at least in these United States of America, with all of the resources that are necessary to execute that big vision you have for the people you were called to serve. And on this particular episode, we have the one and only Johnny Lum. Did I get that right? Did I pronounce it right?
Yeah, Lynum, Johnny Lynum.
Lyman. That's okay. Johnny Lyman. He's in the building. What's up, Johnny? How are you?
What's going on, Shay? Glad to be here with you, brother.
I know it's kind of interesting. You're here and you're not even too far. You're like right down the street. This is kind of cool, by the way. But here's my question before we get started. Folks are going to read your bio to see how famous you are. But I want to take a moment and talk about what are some of the challenges and problems people have really with doing the whole real estate thing, getting into the market. Talk about those challenges that are facing folks out there today that might want to use it as a way for them to generate income.
That's a good one. That is a good one. The more I see a lot of the same recurring things as you work with more and more clients. And I think number one, it's a lot of people say it's cliche, but the mindset. I'll tell you, man, I grew up, had a humble beginning, and I just had a lot of limiting beliefs when it came to money. And so I think from that regard, it held me up from being able to tap into a whole nother level of success when it comes to finances. And so once I got that information and started applying, the sky became the limit. And and that was one of the biggest things that I've seen is the mindset, but then also just having access to capital, and then the fear. Once again, the mindset side of, but the fear of the unknown with change and being able to kind of go into buying that first property, that first investment property that you never known, that you never had anybody in your family that may have owned an investment property or did anything like that or flipped the house. And so it can be a little nerve wracking and stressful for people to try to manage, especially try to manage that alone.
I know we'll get into the seven mistakes folks make and having a $10 million portfolio. We're going to find out what that even means, ladies and gentlemen. I don't even know what that even means. I mean, you might be wondering, is this guy just selling real estate and he sold $10 million in real estate? No, this is your portfolio. I mean, I'll ask him. Define what $10 million portfolio is right now before we even get started. They're leaning forward. They're all leaning in. They're all curious. So go ahead and just give them your definition. What is a $10 million portfolio?
Right. No, great question, because that's just the value of the assets. So right now, over 100 units owned from a combination. My majority of it is multifamily, but single family homes and some duplexes here and there across Panama City, Florida, then across the state of Alabama, primarily where all those assets are on. So it's really just the value of the portfolio. In today's standards, and then when to actually get into the net worth, you subtract the value of your portfolio and then just the debt that you hold on it to kind of come in with that net worth and that valuation and where you are. So, yeah, it's been truly a blessing, man. When I started off on this journey with buying my first foreclosure and just kind of moving around with the Air Force, never in a million years would I have kind of thought where we would be at today with just what we've been able to build with the business, my wife and I. It's been a true blessing.
They're listening saying, Shay, the guy's saying $10 million portfolio. He's saying real estate. Who is this guy? Now, some folks, like I said, they're reading your bio. Some folks are already Googling you, trying to find out what you got on the tube and all that. So take a moment if you can. Let's slow down. Tell them a little bit of the backstory. What's your origin story that led to the pivotal point to you doing what you're doing now? So that can kind of frame the conversation for everyone.
No, most definitely. I think it's important to kind of have that context. But for me, man, humble beginnings. I grew up in Lower Alabama. I call it LA, but not the LA on the West Coast. But yeah, just a country boy. Grew up walking down dirt roads barefoot as a kid. Joined ROTC, Reserve Officer Training Corps. In college, the Air Force paid for me to go to school to University of Alabama, Roll Tide. And so coming out of college, man, I was the oldest. I had a younger sister, and that whole process of coming through. I was really, really smart in school, got academic scholarships, got my ROTC scholarship, but I still lack financial literacy. And I tell the story in my book. When I left, college and went to my first duty station after I was commissioned as an officer in the United States Air Force, I had to have a family member sign on my lease for my first apartment because I had screwed my credit up. And so that was a humbling experience, but it also showed me, it's like, hey, you got a college degree, but there's a lot out here that you do not know. And so I went out and set on that journey to like understand, hey, stocks and bonds, fixing your credit. And lo and behold, I got the opportunity to buy my first house about 10 months later after I had started my career. A great friend of mine, shout out to Nick Battle, he approached me, he said, hey, J2, he's like, I found this duplex. He's like, I'm going to buy a side. You need to buy the other side, man. We're going to rent it out when we leave. And, it was fearful. Luckily I had bet on myself, had got my credit together where I could actually come in and take advantage of my VA loan. I actually got a check at closing for a little bit over $300, and my rent was about 350 less than what I was paying in my apartment building. So after that, I was hooked on real estate. After I can go in, buy an asset, and actually get paid at closing, and now I'm actually saving money each month. And so, after that, I just started consuming more podcasts, going to seminars. I joined the local real estate investor association in Macon, Georgia. And, and it just kind of started that first deal. And I tell people it all starts with the first deal. That, you hear people talk about, I see my bio, 100 plus units and, $10 million, but it all started with that first house.
Mm. And for the folks that are listening, like, wow, he did it. What was he thinking? Number one, how did he go about? What was some of the strategies I'll say he used just to get the credit where it needed to go? Was it something that a family member just wrote a check and he got out of debt? Was it one of those situations where he just had to take time? So they're a little curious about that. And then we'll get to the other side. But take a moment and talk about two spots of that. What was the mindset when you were in debt? And then what are some of the actions you took to get, I guess you said, the credit where it need to be? And if you're out there and you're listening right now, here's what I want you to know, that if Johnny can do it, so can you. And he also has processes that can help you today as well.
Yes, yes. No, great question, because it was a process. And I tell people it was a transformation to go from broke Johnny to woke Johnny. But and that transformation for me was, leveraging what I had, what was my strength. Being a veteran, I learned that I could buy properties, use them 100% down with my VA loan benefits. And so when I PCSed and moved in 2010, I realized that, hey, I still had an entitlement that I can go find a foreclosure, move into the foreclosure. It's a fixer upper. We had to paint one room. It wasn't even that bad. And now I can keep it, move, and do it again. And I did that two more times after buying my first property, using that VA loan with no money out of pocket. And it allowed me to be able to build wealth. And after that, going through that process, of course, improving the credit score. I leveraged Lexington Law way back then in 2006 to get to that point to help clean my credit. But there's a lot of different solutions out there. But you got to do it. You got to pay your bills on time, and just make sure that you manage your credit wisely. And for me, after moving, doing all those, and I tapped my VA loan entitlement out after those first three homes. We bought a $25,000 house in Birmingham, Alabama, as a rental for a couple of years, and then we started our fix and flip business in 2015, just buying one house, fix it up, sell it, find another one, and kind of going through that process. And it was 2018 was that pivotal moment in our career. Hurricane Michael hit Panama City, Florida. Category 5 hurricane that devastated the area. And overnight, we had thousands of dilapidated houses. And lo and behold, that opportunity, that setback, that devastation was an opportunity for our company where we were kind of birthed. And, we consistently been doing 10 to 12 fix and flip projects a year ever since. And, we started buying a multifamily in 2020 and picking up apartment buildings. And that's, and still serving active duty. I've been in almost 18 years now. In August will be my 18-year anniversary with serving in the Air Force. And so you just got to start. You got to start, get the right information, and build the network around you, and just keep consistently showing up each day.
Consistently showing up each day. Thanks for serving in the military, man. We certainly appreciate your service. We got to ask the question, and ladies and gentlemen, don't worry. He's gonna give you the 7 mistakes. Don't worry about that. But what's one of the lessons? I know it's kind of an unfair question because you've been in the military for 18 years. But if there was what's one lesson you've learned, you're like, look, if you're out there and mindset is still there and you're doubting it, there are folks on here, Johnny, who work a full-time job and they're a full-time entrepreneur. We like to call dualpreneurs. There are folks that got to take care of their family. There are some folks that got to take care of kids. They got to take care of loved ones, and they're very, very busy. And they're like, man, is this possible? So I'm going to ask John to share an idea around mindset, or maybe something he's learned from his books or something he's learned in the military that he can just share with that. And that shift will lead us into the part that is possible. So the question is mindset,
that's
man.
powerful.
Talk about it.
Yeah, that's a powerful question. because the thing with it is we all have 24 hours in a day, whether it's Elon Musk, whether it's myself, whether it's you, we all have 24 hours in a day. And we all put our pants on one leg at a time. That it's all about how we use, that time that we're given in order to make the larger impact. And so one of the things that I learned was leverage, whether it's leveraging other people's time or leveraging debt, but learning the power of leverage. And that's one of the things that allows me to be able to work active duty Air Force full time, be a present husband and father of three beautiful kids, and still being able to lead my home renovation business that I have in Panama City. I'm 15 hours away, leading that business in Panama City, Florida. But then also, being able to lead my apartment business, with the units that we have in Alabama. And last year I started coaching and consulting like-minded individuals that were looking to build their portfolio and leveraging real estate in order to kind of diversify from the stock market. So being able to lead companies and everything, 100%, I got it from my dad and mom. They pushed me extremely hard, to know that there was a larger world out there outside of where I grew up in Alabama and what I could see. But I could listen to them and them casting the vision for my life and being able to go out there and do great things, and how to be a servant leader. That started with my dad. He was a pastor for well over 20, 25 years, and being able to take that servant leadership mentality with me with everywhere that I go. Whether I'm engaging with the janitor or whether I'm talking to the president of the United States, but being able to have that respect for other individuals, whether you see eye to eye with them or not, but be able to try to find a commonality and move forward. But it all comes down to time management. And I've led troops, in Afghanistan, been to Kuwait, deployment combat zones, and then did great missions and managed, billion-dollar contracts for the government. So I've gotten a lot of experience, and now it's like, okay, how do you put people in strategic places to be successful? And in return, you become successful as the CEO of the business.
Well, I had the opportunity to meet you, man, face to face, have eye to eye contact, and so I know where your heart is, and I hope as you're all listening, I want you to hear where his heart is before you hear about the money, right? Because sometimes folks might think, oh, it's all about the money. Here's another big promise, pie in the sky, unicorns, rainbows. Shay, I got it, manna falling from above, and that's not where his heart is. And when I had a chance to meet him, not only were we at an event where he was one of the keynote speakers, but he had his family there with him. So I know he's a family man. I know he's someone that believes in that very, very strongly, and had him on vacation while we were there. So I want you to know that about the person you're looking at on the other side. A little bit about Johnny, if you can now. Tell him, you said there's 7 costly mistakes, man. I want to take a moment and hand it over to you for about 3 to 5 minutes here, and I want you to kind of walk through what are some of these mistakes, because there's some investors that are here watching right now. There's some other folks that are on the edge. In fact, someone on my team is like, Shay, they're looking at buying, trying to flip a property in Baltimore, Maryland. I'm like, well, you need to talk to this guy named Johnny before you go try to find contractors. So there are folks I know that are tuned in and sitting on the front seat like, okay, Shay, if he's the expert, I like to hear what he got to say. So I'm going to turn it over to you, man. Talk about those 7 costly mistakes that everyone makes.
Yeah, and most definitely. We already talked about number one, and that not having the right mindset. That we have so many limiting beliefs when it comes to money that we think that we're taught that we have to trade time for money, and so that's one of the largest misconceptions, that we got to work hard for our money. And so that was one that I had to get past, to understand that you don't have to work as hard as you think you have to in order to build wealth. The goal is to make your money work hard, where eventually you replace yourself with your money, because your money is out there working, earning interest, and now it's bringing a return. And now that's less energy that you have to exert in order to get that return. And so just that relationship and that mindset with money, and knowing that I'm no different than anybody else out here that's successful. It's just they have different information I have, and they're taking action, and they're able to kind of move with speed. And so that's one of the things that definitely was the thing with me, with my mindset, especially when it came to multifamily. I had this whole misconception like only millionaires can buy apartment buildings. You got to have so much money, cash, and all this. And I went to a seminar and was networking, and it just blew my mind just how close I was. And 45 days later, I put my letter of intent to purchase a 18 unit apartment building, and we ended up closing on it about 5 months later. But it started with that right mindset and being able to get my mind right. And then I think the second mistake, people don't take action faster. We waste so much time with entertainment, time that we could be building the legacy that we want to leave for our family, but we don't take action. We procrastinate. We save it for another day, and then another day turns into another month, and another month turns to another year, and another year turns to another decade. That there's, when you talk about the I think the quote goes, the place with the most dreams is the graveyard, just because so many people, they die with so many dreams left inside of them that they never were able to tap into, to bring to fruition, to bless this world with. And so I think not taking action faster and thinking that we have more time than we actually do on this earth. The third one, man, I didn't build a team sooner. I was the guy on my lunch break out there calling homeowners, negotiating, trying to get deals under contract. I was working with the title company. I'm working with my contractors, paying them, sending them the renovation material list they need to pick up. And so I was doing it all. So I didn't hire and outsource faster. And now I have a virtual team, with a lot of my team being located in the Philippines, and that are able to help me, be able to orchestrate and keep things moving. So definitely, real estate is one of the most important team sports out there, because there's so many people that are involved in order for you to be successful. I didn't hire a coach or join a mastermind. That was the fourth one. That, I was the Lone Range. I'm a bootstrap. I'm gonna get it out the mud. I'm just going through just brute force. And like, man, there's a different way. It's not how, it's who. I'll say that again. That a lot of times when we think about making moves and doing different things, we think, okay, how can I make this happen in my life? But no, the question that you really need to be asking yourself is, who can make this happen in my life? And so when I started thinking about who, that was like, okay, I started, being able to go to some more seminars, going out and networking with more people, understanding what other entrepreneurs are doing. Whereas that now I'm not trying to go through this journey lonely by myself, but no, I'm looking for strategic alliances and being able to align with other like-minded people. Because a lot of us, when you start talking about entrepreneurship, your family, they're gonna look at you like you got, something growing out your forehead. Because a lot of people, it doesn't, it's a far off thought to go work for yourself. They were like, you're crazy to buy real estate, flip a house. What are you talking about? You can't go do that. Nobody's going to sell you a house for 50% of what the value is. And so just being around like-minded people who are motivated, that are entrepreneurial in mindset, that it goes so much further, and it helps you become better, because now you got 5 or 6 people helping you solve your problems versus you by yourself. And just to wrap up the rest, man, I didn't get out and network a whole lot. Was one of the other setbacks. I didn't start raising money sooner, because when you start doing 2 and 3 deals, you eventually tap out in your own capital. And around that side, it's like you're giving people an opportunity to invest in real estate. You're not begging them for money or begging them for capital. You're giving them the opportunity to earn a return on their money that's backed by real estate, that has insurance on it. If it burns down, they're gonna be made whole. They're in a title position, recorded at the courthouse. So if something happens, they can foreclose on it and get back made whole with their interest. And then too, then the last part with all that, that with it's something that's tangible. It's an asset that they can go see, that they're buying at a discount that's going to be worth more after they go in and make the renovations. And so I think that piece that we're raising money sooner than the last one, I didn't seek out learning opportunities. For the professional development, just continue to sharpen that mind and continue to grow as an entrepreneur, as a real estate investor, being in those rooms with other people with gray hair that's been there, done that, that's went and survived multiple recessions and different cycles throughout real estate. So being able to get into those rooms with the gray heads and pick their brains and understand what they're doing with their portfolio and how you should adjust your strategy, to kind of move in lockstep with wisdom. Because I'm a true believer, you don't want to be smart, you want to be wise, and being able to be wisdom is learning from other people's mistakes.
So well said, man. Talk about learning from other people behind your shoulder. We're all peeking behind your shoulder. You have the man back there, Kobe Bryant. Take a moment and talk about why you have Kobe Bryant on the wall. You can have a whole lot of folks on the wall, by the way. You can probably look behind you can probably look behind my wall. I don't know if you can see the
Yeah.
Mamba mentality right there. Well,
Really,
it's probably
bro.
blurred out a little bit, but so I'm a big Kobe Bryant fanatic. But talk about why he's on your wall and the inspiration that you gather from that.
That's it, the Mamba mentality. That when you look at an individual and the way that he addressed his craft and the business of basketball, that he didn't take days off, he didn't cheat the game, and he didn't circumvent the process, and he fell in love with the process in order to achieve greatness. And I think that's something, that we can all aspire to be great at whatever it is that we choose to do out here. And and like the quote says, the most important thing is to be able to try and inspire people to be great at whatever it is that they choose to do in life. And I think that's my calling, when it comes to real estate investing, is helping people build that legacy and kind of help them be great in that space. And so I take that mentality with me everywhere. Whereas, that underdog approach, that whereas that it's nothing that's gonna come before you that's gonna break you. It's either you're either gonna break it, or it's gonna improve you to the point where it's gonna make you better. And and just kind of taking each day like that, it just gives you a different resolve. Whereas that you can have that grit and that tenacity to know that you can get past anything.
One of my favorite questions to ask, and thanks for sharing about the Kobe Bryant. Obviously, I'm a Kobe Bryant fanatic. Is of all the mentors you've had, what's one idea you learned from any of the mentors that you can pass along to us? And you just watching, this is time in the program that you get a chance to lean in, right? Because I said you get a chance to take a principle, an idea from one of Johnny's mentors that he's held near in his heart. Now you can take it. You may never meet his mentor, but you can take the idea, since he's paying it forward, and you can apply it in your life, and it could change your life. It's something you could use for the rest of your life. So what's one of the ideas you learned from any one of your mentors, man? I know you had a lot. I get that, but pick
Yep.
one.
And it goes back. It goes back to those early years with my mom, man. My mom, and she told me, she said, whatever, she said, I don't care if you're mopping floors, you're the janitor, or you're the CEO, that you do the best job that you're gonna do at whatever you do. If you're gonna do it, be the best at it. Whether it's buffing floors or whether you're a CEO of a company, you be the best at whatever you can do. And so, and I take that to heart. And and I think that's why I kind of align with Kobe and just that approach that he took with life and everything that he was doing, that he was passionate about, that he gave it his all. And a lot of people, they talk about, they miss the point, that how they don't realize how passionate he was about his family, and how he worked out 3 times a day, but he was there. He would get a workout in, and then he's right there fixing breakfast, getting the kids off to school. Then he go gets another good workout in around lunch, and then he's back at home when they get home from school. And then once he gets them to bed, he gets another workout. And so I think people, they don't have appreciation for that work life balance that he had, that so many people just talk about on the court. But I think it says a lot about how he carried himself off the court as well too, and just being the family man that he was.
Yeah. We have a segment here at the Happy Entrepreneur Show called Today is My January 1st. Now, I know some of y'all wait every night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You get a chance to say those words. Today is my January 1st. And for all the new folks, welcome to the family. I want to encourage you to go over to YouTube. You can follow us there, subscribe, so you get great content like you're getting now from Johnny. Just put in at I am Che Brown, and you can go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Or maybe you're downloading the podcast, or maybe you're watching on one of the streaming platforms. Today is your January 1st. And what that means is a personal mantra. For us at the Happy Entrepreneur Show, it means you get a reset. It means you get a do-over. It means your past, no matter what the past is, no longer equals your future. So my question to Johnny is, when you hear those words, today is my January 1st, what do you hear? And what was one of your January 1st moments?
For me, what I hear is, your past results are not indicative of future returns. That's what I hear. That Jay was like, so many people hang over like, I did this. I'm like, what have you done today? It's just a new day. We got to move past that. So that's the first thing that came to mind. But my new January 1st, I think it's another great day to praise the Lord for having breath, and it's a new day to just accomplish and do whatever needs to be done. You can't do everything, but hey, what's those key things that are gonna move the needle to get you to your vision board, to those goals that you set for the year, and those little tasks that have to happen today. And then some of them you get to them, you're not. But being able to kind of be self-reflective on what it is for this day and be glad in it, because I think a lot of people, man, that they don't have that level of gratitude, that sometimes you get bogged down with where you want to be and what you don't, what you haven't achieved yet. And I tell my clients that success is measured backwards. Success isn't, where you're going to be a year from now, 5 years from now, chasing those goals. Success is, where were you 6 months ago? Where were you a year ago? Where were you 5 years, 10 years ago? And now looking at where you have grown, the individual that you have become since then, that now take time to kind of smell those roses, understand where you're at and where you've grown as an individual, and give yourself a pat on the back. So I'm just all about the gratitude each day and taking it one moment at a time and just being present.
Yeah, man. How can folks, two questions. What type of clients are you working with these days? And number two, how can folks best connect with you over and beyond this conversation?
Yeah, no, great question. I work with busy professionals that's looking to invest in real estate. I used to, would say, I help veterans. I work with a lot of veterans, but I've been kind of having a lot of different people gravitating to me, whether it's doctors, nurses that's going through my program, former cops, some retired military. So I haven't like pinpointed a certain avatar, but I help people that are passionate, that are ready to take action, and they're ready to build wealth with real estate, whether they got a lot of money or a little money, that there's strategies that you can implement in order to be successful as a real estate investor. So I think that's that place. And then I'm on social media, Johnny Lynum. My website, johnnylynum.com. You can find all my information out there, and my free mentorship community, REI Genius. That's out there for as well too. So we'd love to have anybody interested in the real estate space to tap into that. Hey, I got a message. That I had a free master class last night, and I had somebody text me, one of my clients. He's like, "Hey, I took that MLS strategy that you told me, man." He said, "I got 2 out of 3 deals on the contract today. Put in 3 offers and got 2 deals on the contract." So we're building a wealth. We'd love to have people join, man.
Wow, thanks for sharing, man. Suggest you all connect with him. Thank you so much, Johnny, for being on the Happy Entrepreneur Show. We appreciate it.
Thanks again.
And thank you, the viewer. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being here. Without you, there is no show. And I like to wait for this moment, right? Because every night at this particular moment, at this particular time of the show, I get to share words that are near and dear to me. And I hope you can hear what my heart is. And that is, you are amazing. That you really are legendary, right? You are a legendary individual inside of yourself. And that for you, today is your January 1st, and your best is still yet to come. Isn't that encouraging? Your best is still yet to come. Your best is still yet to come. With that being said, my name is Shay Brown, the Happy Entrepreneur. Make it a great day, everyone, and we'll make some good things happen. We connect again next time. Remember, time is long, life is short. You got to live in that moment. Well, you got to make it count. God bless and we wish you success. Thanks a lot, Johnny. I appreciate you, man. We out of here. Peace, everybody. We gone.